Good morning. Hand today's pocket sixes from the big blind. So we have a hijack player. We're playing six-handed. It's a full ring, but we're at six-handed. We have a player that open raises 2.8. I have him marked as orange, which means he's probably a pretty tight passive player. Have him three times bet squeeze from big blind versus under gun min raises and button caller with ace four suited. So kind of have to watch him. He could be somewhat aggressive with his three bets, but I think this is going to be a standard raise. He's going to be mid position technically, so his raise first stands 11%. You can see that he's really tight early position, mid position. Loosens up a bit, 21%, and cut off 25% in the button, and then he plays way more in the small blind than he probably should. But it's a player we're gonna have to be aware that he has a decent range. So just 11% is looking something like that. And he probably doesn't have all of that. Like I don't really think he has king queen offsuit. I don't think he has those ace 8 ace 9. Since he's squeezed with the small suited aces, I think he does have those. He might not have like king 10 or queen 10 in his range, and instead he may be playing the suited cards. I think he could have ace jack offsuit. It is pretty solid, and maybe he doesn't have twos, threes, and fours because he is a tighter player. I think we'll leave those out, kind of set up. We know that he's squeezed with those hands, so it's possible that he's open raising with those. It's on us. So it's on us right now. So we're gonna get this going. And again, I've selected for calling two bets, so I know I'm gonna call. So what kind of range are we looking at? I think we're looking at big blind versus mid position situations, and I have a calling range that looks something like that. I don't think this is a player that should really three bet a lot as a bluff. Yeah, he does fold 67% to a pre-flop three bet, and you can see that he's folded early position, mid position, and button and small blind. So if we look at his range, if we raise here, he's gonna have position on us. And I'm not sure if he's going to just call with his entire range or maybe just release a couple of these. I kind of suspect that he might be a player, since he is a decent player. His stats look like he's decent. He's a losing player overall, but his stats suggest that he might just go ahead and call with everything. If he doesn't call, then he's probably dumping like 5, 6, 7, 8s, maybe 9 and 10, possibly the jack 10, possibly the small suited aces. Ace jack offsuits probably gets dumped, and he'll be calling with a much tighter range, a much stronger range than what I could probably represent as a three bet. This would be my three bet, and I think it is pretty solid three bet. I think if we get called, we should be at the top of our range and probably at the top of his range. So I think my call is going to be okay here. So I do call, and we see a flop. So let's get this. We are at 8.9%. We are out of position. We have to recognize that. And on this flop, you have to realize that he really doesn't c-bet a whole lot. If he c-bets, he's connected with the flop in some way. Maybe an overpair, maybe maybe a draw, a strong draw. So he's in position 40% c-bet 6 out of 15. Not overly frequent. So we see a board of 8 of hearts, 4 of hearts, 2 of diamonds. And that does help our range, actually. So if you think about hands that he's doing this with, yeah, he has these over cards, or these over pairs. But if you look at how likely is it that he would have connected and had top pair in this case, it's going to be uh, pretty small. So yeah, 25%, 26% is over pair plus. Um, he doesn't. I mean, he could have hearts, but it only represents 8% of the time. This is definitely a hand that could help the caller. You can see that I'm looking at top pair plus at um, about 22%, not as much, but I have pocket pair below the top cards. I've got 5, 6s, and 7s, so I have more, a pair here, and I got 10% in flush draws. So what should we do? I don't think we really want to lead into him. I think if we donk, he's just going to be calling his over pairs, and he's probably going to be calling maybe like ace king, ace queen at least once. I mean, he isn't. So flop, his flop call, 2/3 call a donk, 2/3 of the time. I'm not expecting him to fold a lot, so I think it's probably better. I think our play is just to go ahead and check call with some of our range, probably with most of our range here, because we don't expect this board to hit him. And I think we can also check raise with this range as well. So we checked. I think that's okay. And he bets 4, so like 2/3 pot. What is he going to bet 2/3 pot with? I think over pair he's going to bet 2/3 pot, over pair plus. So yeah, 26, 28% is the set. Could he be betting pocket pair below the top card? Maybe. I think it's going to be a little less likely. Gut shot, probably, I think, because he's got the ace. He's got the ace over, so if he catches an ace, he'll have top pair. I'm not sure if he's going to do it with overcards, but I think he's going to do it with his combo draw. So 40% is what he's going to see that with, and now it's on us. What do we call? What do we raise? What do we fold? I think we can raise our set. So if we check raise our set, I expect over pairs to call. I expect the flush draw to call. I think gut shots are going to fold. Do I think all over pairs? Yeah, I actually kind of think an over pair may just push all over the top. So when you look at the stacks, he's got me covered. I've got about 61. If I raise here, I'm raising up to maybe about 12 to 15 as a check raise. If he shoves over the top, I mean, he's going to be raising up to 40 to 45, which basically puts me all in, which would be great. I mean, if I had a set, definitely check raise with the set. Let's do this. We're going to check raise with the set. And we're getting all in with it. What kind of balances that? What can we use to balance that check raise? That's 5.36%. If we look at the combos, you got 3 combos. Probably we're going to be check raising maybe with a gut shot here. With ace 3, ace 5. If called, we still have an ace out. So of all of these over pairs, if he does decide to just call with them, 9s, 10s, jacks, queens, kings, we have a way in which we can catch. We can catch our gut shot. We can catch an ace. And we could also kind of improve, because I think he would think hearts would be in our range, but I think if we add the flush draw to our range here, then let's get this. There we go. If we add the flush draw to our range, I mean, we could have the flush draw, so like ace 5, ace 3. That is part of our gut shot, part of our range. So yeah, hearts could connect. So if a heart comes, we could easily bet again with all of our range, and we're gonna have sets, and we're gonna have flushes at that point, along with still the gut shot, and it's gonna be scary. I think that's gonna be a check raise range here, and I just called, so we didn't check raise. All right, so that leaves our overpair. I think maybe we could check raise like nines, tens, jacks, kind of as protection. But I think it's if he has overpairs, we're gonna be beat. So I think it just kind of calling with the overpairs and see what develops on the turn is going to be a little bit better. I think pocket pair below the top card we can call too. This board is unlikely to hit them, and with those 5, 6, 7, 8s, we do have backdoor straight potential. I think same thing. Middle pair, we're going to be check calling. Bottom pair with the ace two, I think that's. I mean, we beat ace high basically. That could be kind of part of our speculative range here. I think flush draw, we're also going to be calling with that. I think the 2-card backdoor flush draws, I think some of these we can probably call. Should we call with all of them? I think we can call with like ace king, ace queen, ace jack, probably king queen, king jack, queen jack. We're looking at maybe those broadways. We already had those blocked, the ace 5, 4, 3s. Let's see what that looks like. So we've got way too much value. Maybe I think the middle pairs is less value and more kind of bluff. So maybe that is more of what we're looking at. Kind of 50-50 on check call range. Overcards definitely value. Pocket pair below the top card is kind of a mix of value and kind of as a semi bluff. So I called. Let's get our range here. He's still ahead equity wise, but I think we're gonna see it change based on the next card. So we've got 76. Oops, that's his range. Oh no. I did this all wrong, didn't I? Ah, darn it. Okay, let's get this straight. We said set and overpair. What did we say he was going to do? I don't think he was going to be betting those. I think overpair. I think he would have checked those. Flush draw. We said the gut shot. Maybe the gut shot wasn't going to be bet. There. No, gut shot because he had the ace. That's his range. And then we're going to have to go back to my hand. Kind of screwed this up. All right. So that's his range. My range, I still think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be a check raising the set. And I think, well, we don't have our gut shot. So let's go back to this. I think we check raise the set. That's with 6. And then the flush draw. All of the flush draw. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Pretty good one. And then what we're going to be doing is calling with I do think we're going to be calling with those middle ones too, kind of as bluffs. Let's change that up. So get that out. Two card backdoor, yeah, about 3-1. I don't really want to call with all overcards. I think having the 2-card backdoor flush draws to the diamonds is important for us here. So I think that's going to be our calling range, and we're going to see what's going to happen. If he checks, great. We're probably ahead with our pair. As long as if he just checks, I think we're going to be ahead of his pair. If he bets, then we're going to have to think about, what hands do we beat? Can we get any of those hands to fold? How do we think he's going to react on the river? All right, so 8 of spades comes out. That's actually, I think, pretty good hand for us, because we could conceivably have an 8. We could have check called with an 8, and now that gives us trips, which it will probably slow him down for the overcards, and it could make him fold the overcards depending on how we play it. So we've got 31.1% equity. He's got 68.9% equity. I think we're still going to be checking here. It doesn't make sense for us to bet. I think in his mind, you could say, well, we can bet 3 of a kind to get him to call, and we can also bet like our flush draws as well. But we don't really have those hearts, so I think it makes sense to check raise with our nut flush draw, along with our sets. And we could have easily just check called everything that we were going to play. So I think we're going to be checking here, and see what happens. Villain 2 bets. Now he went 2/3. Now he's betting half pot, and I think that's telling. Yeah, maybe he has quads, and he's sizing down, but I think overall this is going to be an overpair. I think flush draw checks. I think it's very strong overpair possibility here. So we're gonna go with that, and now it's up to us. What do we do? Definitely, I think we can check raise here. I kind of think if we call and then check the turn, he's probably just gonna check his overcards. But if we call here and now bet, let's say half pot, 3/4 pot, he may call with those overpairs just to see it. That's on a non-heart. If the heart comes, I think we open up possibility of actually trying to bluff a little bit, because now we can have the heart draw or the 8s. He doesn't know we're gonna check. We're not gonna check raise, but it's a possibility. So this is a time where I think we can probably get rid of pocket pair below the top card, unless we're gonna plan to steal it away, like playing the bluff. So he checks pretty good, and then he's got a solid hand. If he c-bets here, he's going to c-bet most of the time, and then he'll probably bet the river. Now, let's see here. If he folds to river donk 1/3 of the time, he folds. 1/3 of the time, he calls, and then 1/3 of the time he's raised. So I think it kind of comes down to the end. What should we do? I don't think, again, kind of comes down. I think we can call with our 3 of a kind. I think we call with the overpair. I think what we're gonna do is maybe do that. Call with the pocket pair below the top cards, with the expectation of trying to take it away or try to get him to fold those overcards on the river. So what do? I call. I don't really think we should be check raising. I think if we check raise, he's just going to play perfectly against us, especially if we have solid hands. Oops. So this is my range, definitely tighter. I'm not liking how the equities are playing out right now. Like, we're way behind our range. He's definitely going to be stronger. He's got that overpair, just because based on how he plays. But I think what we're starting to do is set up the possibility of bluffing him to try to get him to lay down on a good river. So 8 comes out. My range's equity is 10.2. His is 89.8. Definitely, he probably has us beat. You can see quads is 6% full house, but our full house is probably less than him. So what do? I think if we're going to try to get him to fold, now's the time to bet and try to get him to fold. And our option is to go ahead and bet, half pot, bet over pot. I think it's going to be tough for him to call. I think over pot is kind of tough. Depends on the player. Is the overpot more likely to be viewed as a bluff, or is it more likely to be viewed as a solid value hand? Versus this player, with the board run out, I think any bet's going to accomplish a fold. I think betting, half pot, I think gives him a reason to call, because it's only going to be 15 maybe. I think 28 big blinds is looking pretty good. What do? I checked, um, and he checked behind, so I didn't take the stab, which then kind of raises the question of why was I calling? Um, I showed sixes, he showed ace 10. I didn't have ace 10 in his range, so now we can kind of add to that. So um, I didn't have ace 10 offsuit, and that was one where I assumed he wouldn't be betting, he wouldn't be c betting just on his overcards. So once he does, then maybe he is still thinking that I'm on maybe a flush draw. But I think this is kind of odd for a player. I'm not really thrilled with my hand, but I think we're going to go ahead and take a note here. C bet with ace 10 overs on a 8-4-2 board. C bet, let's do in position. Barreled 8 turn. So now we know he is capable of bluffing, and maybe it's specific to, maybe it's to me. I've got, I have 700 hands on him, 770. He has 770 hands on me. He knows he should know that I'm a pretty tight player. So, maybe he's c betting because he thinks that this board isn't going to hit me. But overall, I'm not really thrilled. I think we could have, played it better. I think based on our range of what we expect him to continue with his tighter c betting range, I think we're expecting overpair. I think we could take a stab at this and try to generate a fold. Is it too optimistic? Maybe, but I think it applies a lot of pressure, especially if we raise. If we just shove all in, I mean, it's how likely it does it how likely is it that he has an 8? Not very likely. Does it make sense? Do we check call the flop? Oh yeah, we definitely check call the flop with an 8. Does it make sense that we check call the flop again on the turn? Yeah, I think it can make sense. Somebody might say, you need to bet, or you need to check raise because the heart draws out. But we're 6-handed. I'd kind of discount the possibility that he has a heart. And even if he checks the turn, then yeah, he might have had the heart. So I'm willing to make that risk. But we just now hit trips on a pretty dry board. So it kind of makes sense to check call again on the turn, and then on the river we overbet the pot, and it's looking at, okay, we don't want to see it check through, so we're either bluffing or we've got quads. And yeah, unfortunately, we would be turning a hand like sixes into a bluff, because I honestly don't think sixes is gonna beat any of those overpairs that we kind of assumed he was gonna have. So that's his hand. Maybe it's not the best analysis. Maybe I didn't play this quite well. I won the hand, which helps, but different things to talk about. Didn't have ace 10 in this guy's range, so we'd make a note and remember it for the next time. If you like this hand, look tomorrow for another.